All right. What up, though? Welcome to the mic check. This is T Word, the People's Champ, doing a quick little Saturday live. Undetermined time frame. Might be 15 minutes, might be an hour. Just depends on what kind of input we get. Gonna give some people time to kind of tap in, see what's good on this Saturday morning. Hopefully, everybody's doing good. God bless you all. Everybody that was able to wake up today and do whatever it is they want to do. That's what weekends are for. Looking forward to some football today and some boxing. And we're going to talk about that in the live. Let me get we'll get the links and stuff like that out. Drop this on Twitter real quick, like. So while I go ahead and get some things going here, I'm going to just give some people a little bit of background on me. That's not something we really talk about on the show. So, um, I'm a personal trainer and an IT professional by trade. So, um, the technical side of things, I take care of that with no problem. But then also, I'm into health and wellness, fitness, and stuff like that. Just overall keeping yourself together. Um, so that's my thing. That's my bag. So I've been a personal trainer for I just hit 3 years this month. It's been a journey. It's been an exciting journey just being a personal trainer. It's fun, man. I like working with people. I like getting results, stuff like that. And then connected to sports. Ultimately, my goal would be to work with some professional athletes and become like a strength and conditioning coach for them, or possibly nutritionist. I'm certified in both nutrition and personal training, so I can help them with either or both. And it's a fun field. You get to meet a lot of different people, do a lot of different things, and then just working with athletes, I think is fun because you get to see people in different types of journeys. Like you have the people that are former athletes that are looking for somebody to help them get back on track. You have the people that are I guess you could say like current athletes or trying to get back into the game. Maybe they're recovering from an injury. So they come in there looking for somebody to help them outside of rehab. Because if you go to like physical therapy, it's different than recovery training. Physical therapy is just to get you back on your feet, whereas like recovery training is to really build strength, like get you back to where you were, if you're physically able. So that's kind of one of the fun things. So my goal is to work with athletes and work with different individuals who want to recover. Um, I've coached youth athletes, so that's something that might be more, I guess, more likely to just build like a youth camp where I can have the football camp and different things like that. So just different options on the table. I'm gonna go ahead and send out some more info here. Just send some invites out. And we're not gonna be on here too long. Jackson State is playing in the Celebration Bowl against North Carolina Central, I believe. So definitely gonna be tapping into that. Coach Prom's last game at Jackson State, so that should be something interesting to see. They start at 11 Central, so within the next hour, I definitely want to lock in on the game. Maybe grab a cold one, something like that. I know it's a little early, but hey, it's Saturday. and it's an off day, so definitely want to tap in. All right, all right. Slow motion it is. So good. So I got a few topics on deck. So if you're watching this on the replay, you'll probably be able to fast forward a little bit. I'm just giving a few people a chance to join in if they're interested. And then we're going to go ahead and get started with my topics for today. I do want to talk about the Jackson State situation. Um, I also I want to talk about the Jackson State situation. I want to talk about the fight later today. Um, talk about some NFL. That's my favorite thing, NFL football. So, if somebody wants to join in, we'll kind of chop it up on that. If not, best believe I would just go ahead and delete this broadcast. But stick in there. If you're seeing it, that means that people joined in and we actually had an opportunity to chop it up on some good conversation. All right, all right. Looks like we do have one viewer. Welcome. Drop something in the chat, man. And if you have anything sports related you want to talk about, I'll be happy to chop it up with you. And basically, looking at a little boxing. There's NFL football tomorrow. There's a Celebration Bowl today. Coach Prime's last game at Jackson State. So if you have something to say about any of those things, feel free to drop it in the chat. In fact, let me go ahead and tag that in here now. Let's see. So I'm definitely predicting Jackson State to win the Celebration Bowl today, simply based on the fact that they blew it last year. Coach Prime had his guys, and like you said, they was feeling themselves a little bit too much, and it showed up in the worst way on game day. They were just flat. They didn't play well, and it cost them. They played a very game team who everybody was picking against, and that team showed up and kicked their ass. So that's what happens sometimes when you get too full of yourself. Let me see. Celebration Bowl, NFL, boxing. That's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So, but yeah, Celebration Bowl, we've got um, Jackson State. And I really want to see how Shador Sanders does in this final game at Jackson State. I'm pretty sure they're going to want to kind of lay something out there, some of that, hey, you're going to miss me when I'm gone type of stuff. I can see them really trying to show out. Hopefully, they're not pressing. I'm rooting for Jackson State to win the game, but hopefully, they're not pressing too much. And they just play relaxed. They have been proven to be a second half team this year. I have seen them start games super slow. Teams that they should be blowing out from the opening whistle, they They really just kind of just slowly build up. And it's like I said in the previous video, they win the war of attrition. So by the second half, when they're going 2 to 3 deep at a position, the other schools are just at their best players at the number one spots, and then their seconds and thirds, they're just not as good. There's a significant drop off, and Jackson State takes advantage of that in the second half when those starters are tired on the other side of the field. Now all of a sudden, the playing field isn't level anymore, and that's when they start to pull away. Guys are coming out of the game injured, cramping. Um, a lot of the tricks and the things that you hadn't seen, by the second quarter, you're starting to get a feel for when you're on defense. You're starting to feel what the offense is doing. When you're on offense, you get an idea how defensive players move, and you could take advantage of those things going into the second quarter and especially into the second half when you make your adjustments at halftime. Jackson State has been very good at taking advantage of this. So I could see I could see that kind of happening today just because they're one of the deepest teams in FCS football. All right. Just sending these invites out. See who want to tap in. Um, Now, as far as Coach Prime going over to Colorado, I'm not looking at today's game as a foregone conclusion because last year is an indicator that Jackson State still has to show up and play football. North Carolina Central is 9-2, so this ain't no slouch of a team. They're gonna show up and they're gonna try and kick butt. So they have to be prepared in every phase of the game. So it's really important that Jackson State takes it seriously from the beginning. Don't try and wait to catch up later. Don't try and wait for that second half surge. They need to come in and maybe establish the run, grind the clock down, really beat up on that defense in the trenches, let that big offensive line that they recruited to come in do their job. And I think that it'll make a big difference. By the time they get to the second half, they should have a comfortable lead on this team because they just have the better horses. Like ultimately, even if you go number ones for number ones, you're looking at 4 or 5 star guys against like 2 and 3 star guys. And your stars don't get you drafted, but it does kind of indicate your performance leading up to a certain point. And I think that it matters in the context of when you've got a collection of guys that are really good and then you put them against a team of guys that are great and really good, there's an obvious advantage going one way, and that's something that's really carried this team. He preached dominance. Coach Prime preached dominance coming into the season, and they've been that. All right, let's see. All right, so we just rocking it out. While you're here, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like the video. It's going to help the channel out a lot. I've had some videos that have done really good this week, so I've been a little surprised about what has done well. Speaking of, we could go ahead and do a recap of this week um, while we wait for some people to join. All right, so let's go back and we will take a look at some of the videos that we dropped this week. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so this week we did a live stream on Monday, myself and Q. Um, and we talked about a lot. We talked about a whole lot. We mostly covered we mostly covered boxing. I think we did a live stream for about an hour. We covered boxing and we talked about just the state of boxing. We had a guest on Ring IQ. aka Julius. Caught a few of his live streams this week, or what his live stream this week, and he did pretty good. He covered a lot of ground. He was on for a while. I know I ain't gonna be on that long. Um, but videos that we dropped, we put out a video on Monster Inouye and his KO against Paul Butler. So just to talk about that for a minute, it wasn't a very entertaining fight, to be honest, just because Butler didn't seem to want to engage. And when history is 20 years from now, when the history is reviewed, you're just going to see an 11th round KO and in a way taking the belt from a champion. People aren't going to remember that Paul Butler was very reluctant to engage. He ran a lot of the fight. I went back and even watched the replay just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And it didn't seem like the path of the most resistance. And that sucks because when you're looking at all the marbles, I mean, he just brought one belt to the table, but you figure if you've got one belt and you've got an opportunity to pick up three more, it's like, yo, how easy can undisputed be? You just got to go in there and beat one dude and get everything. He's done all the heavy lifting. I just got to go in there and take all his belts. So why wouldn't you bring your best effort? And he just didn't seem to care about showing up and being a competitive fighter that day. I did a short video on it, recapping it, congratulating Noya Inoue, aka the Monster, and I just thought he did what he had to do. I put a little highlight reel together, commemorating his fights, a bunch of his knockouts, the body shots that he throws. So that's actually on the video. Feel free to check that out on the YouTube channel. Like I said, while you're here, be sure that you're a subscriber and be sure to like the video. Also, this week we did we talked about the little battle on Undisputed. So I don't know how many of you out there actually watch Skip and Shannon. I know a lot of people that currently follow us are boxing fans and not necessarily sports fans in general. So everything that we publish may not be for you, and I understand that. There's channels I watch where I don't consume all the content. Certain things they talk about I enjoy. Other things they talk about I'm like, that's not for me. Um, so I understand if you guys haven't been keeping up with that, but Undisputed, daily talk show, sports talk show, they run about 2.5 hours, and they've been around since like 2016. And Skip and Shannon have this, or have had a great dynamic of being able to kind of sort of talk to each other, and you always saw like a certain level of professional courtesy and respect between the two. But recently, Skip has been going like off the reservation a little bit with his tone, the way that he's going at Shannon Sharp. A lot of people out there saying, well, Shannon, that's what you get because you go at this person, you go at that person. But a lot of times, I think your resume gives credence to your argument sometimes. And for example, um, Shannon is a Hall of Famer. So when he goes at other athletes, he's crossed that path. He's traveled that journey. So I feel like he has the insight to say certain things and it's okay. Um, Skip, you haven't done that. So for you to be the guy that's kind of, beating the table and saying this and coming at athletes with crazy stuff, I just don't think you have the cachet to do that. And he went at Shannon and said that he was jealous of Tom Brady, which is crazy because um why would a Hall of Famer with three Super Bowl rings be jealous of a quarterback? I mean, there's only a couple of players that have five or more. So having three actually puts you in the elite class. If I'm not mistaken, Deion Sanders only has two, and he's considered the best player to ever play his position. Shannon Sharp is one of the greatest tight ends in NFL history. I don't see a need for this man to be jealous. This dude's in his 50s and he's still built like a brick house. He's still built like the Incredible Hulk in his 50s. So he lives a pretty charmed life. I don't see why he would be jealous of Tom Brady, who has felt a need to sacrifice everything to go out there and play into his mid 40s and risk serious injury, irreparable injury playing at this stage. It just don't make sense to me. So um, it was just interesting to see that conversation happen. And, many people are wondering and pondering, like, is this the end of the show? And a lot of things point to they could call it a day. They could pack it in. They could very well pack it in, and they'll have had a good run, a good 7 year run or 6 year run, and they could say, "Hey, people, chunk deuce, but you know, we're out. We're not doing this anymore. Irreparable. irreparable differences, irreconcilable differences, whatever you want to call it, but we're not going to be on TV anymore. Skip is about the age where he could probably go ahead and sit back and retire. He's made the money. There's no need to keep going. Shannon will probably go do something else. I could tell he enjoys doing sports. He really likes, talking sports, interviewing people, analyzing the game. He loved talking about LeBron. So I could see him continuing on another platform if it doesn't work out. And there's people that have been commenting on some of the videos saying that they've heard this beginning of the end. The next video we dropped this week was a preview of Rivera and Martin. I'm gonna scroll to that last. Next, I want to talk about Anthony Joshua, and that's a video we dropped and him seeking out trainers. He's been looking at different trainers throughout the U.S. and I the the gym that will probably be the best fit, he can't go there. Um, or the trainer. Sugar Hill is the one. I think that would be able to find what AJ is missing. But obviously, Sugar Hill trains um, Tyson Fury. And because of that, he obviously will not leave Tyson Fury, especially this guy's a world champion. Obviously, they have a pretty good relationship. They seem to have a lot of fun together. They do weird stuff like after the fight, Tyson Fury sitting around doing interviews with his shirt off, and Sugar Hill will sit there and do the same thing. Just weird, but I get it. When you have that type of trainer trainee relationship, that kind of shows you that there's a lot of trust involved there. So I don't see them ever splitting. So that leaves AJ out looking for a trainer in the U.S. Now somebody suggested Freddie Roach. And honestly, that's not a that's not a bad look. Um, Freddie Roach as a trainer for AJ would be interesting because of the fact that he's an overcomer himself, so he can teach him some intestinal, give him some intestinal fortitude, give him some stick to it, some let's get it type of mindset. Um, I think he will be a good fit, and from a strategy standpoint, I think they would need to bring in maybe an additional, um, a second that can do some of the other things that AJ might need to do. But I feel like from the motivational mental side, which is I think the biggest problem with AJ, that's it. I think he can also offer strategy, but I think somebody else could bring some more strategy. And as a collective unit, they could get AJ where he needs to be. But I feel like he's gonna pick a US trainer really soon and then book a fight, and then they'll go from there. Next up, we had talked about Sean Payton and possibly a marriage with Tom Brady at the New Orleans Saints next year. I don't know what Sean Payton's going to do. I know if he leaves the Saints, the compensation is going to be ridiculous, like a few first round picks for him to go somewhere else, and the Saints need it. So either Payton can come back and the Saints can get a first round pick in 2023, which they don't have right now, or he can come back to the Saints and they could go and sign a free agent quarterback that's a veteran that Sean Payton can work with. There's a lot of different options. Maybe they could trade the 2024 first round pick and get somebody else's quarterback. I don't have any options for that particular dynamic right now, but that's something else Payton could do. Or Tom Brady has a way out; he could get out. I don't know. He made his bones with a defensive coach who's Bill Belichick hoodie, but I don't think the Todd Bowles situation is good, and I don't think he has enough respect for Byron Leftwich. Now, you put him with Sean Payton, he's obviously going to respect one of the greatest offensive minds in NFL history. This dude has had a top 10 offense pretty much anytime he's been the head coach, and it was still a top 10 offense just running the system he had, even when he was suspended for a year. So you could say that, like, even in his losing seasons, he's productive. It's a very quarterback friendly offense. So I could see Sean Payton really feeling like, yo, let me see what's up with Tom Brady. Like, hey, Tom, come over here. Let's see if we can make a run. I got it. I'm gonna put a good defense with you. I just need you to protect the football, hand it off to that badass running back wearing 41, and this new guy we bring in, I feel like the Saints are going to pick up a running back and get some fresh legs because, I mean, Ingram is starting to show the wearing down. Even though he doesn't have a lot of tread off the tires, his durability is starting to come into question because he's crossed that 30 threshold and the body just moves different, the rigors of an NFL season. So I feel like Sean Payton could propose that to whatever veteran quarterback. I mean, I could even see him working with Matt Ryan, but I wouldn't be opposed to the Saints trading their 2024 first round pick and getting a quarterback and using that as a tool instead. I think that would be fun. Having Sean Payton back. I personally don't know what Tom Brady has in the tank. I mean, he throw it further than Breeze. It's just if you're gonna bring Tom in, maybe you could talk Breeze off the couch. I know he's doing some stuff on the Purdue staff, but maybe you can talk Breeze off the couch and just tell him, bro, you ain't got to throw it but 15 yards and hand it off to these running backs, and we got you a couple big tight ends, and you know everything, the ins and outs of the offense, and we could put that marriage back together and make one last run now that Drew has had what will be 2 years off to let his body fully recover, the ribs, the shoulders, the elbows and knees and ankles and all that stuff could be better. And I know he still looks like he's in pretty good shape. Drew didn't get fat in retirement. So that's another option too. But I know Peyton is married to the idea of a veteran quarterback. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm going to talk in depth about the Saints and the NFC South once the season is over because I want to see how everybody finishes first. Because I feel like the Saints might be secure for the last place finish for the first time in like 10 years. So we'll see how that goes. So that was the last one that I uploaded. So I want to go back to the Frank Martin and Michelle Rivera, and we did a preview on them. It's a short clip. I talked about the fight. I just gave like some overall talking points. I got some time today to actually discuss it in detail and really give like a true breakdown of what I expect to happen. And now I have the information like the press conference and the weigh-ins to kind of back up some of the things I was already thinking. So, for example, Frank Martin and Michelle Rivera are a lot closer in height than the statistics say. Now, the one thing that Rivera does possess is that reach, and that reach is going to help with his jab, and that's going to force Frank Martin to have to do something very special to get past the jab. Well, not necessarily special, but just be fundamentally sound and working his way inside. This is going to be good head movement. This is going to be using your footwork, not backing up in the straight line, because even in the straight line, that long jab is still right there in your face. So I feel like he's going to have to be very savvy even though he has less fights than Rivera, even a shorter amateur career. I still feel like they fought similar levels of competition, and you might even give an advantage in level of competition to Martin at this point in his career because he's fought more advanced fighters already. Rivera has been brought along a little slowly. And then you look at common opponent, Rivera went the distance, Frank Martin did stop Perez. So there's some factors that lean to Frank Martin. Obviously, I've given my pick already, but I'm going to reiterate. I've got Martin by decision, even though I feel like he has an advantage in power. I don't think the power is going to be the difference. The power is going to be the difference in allowing him to maybe impose his will, but I don't think Rivera is going to allow himself to be KO'd. One thing I've talked about recently is ring savvy fighters know how to survive without getting KO'd. And a lot of people think that if you're just if you're in there and you're the bigger, stronger dude, that you're automatically going to KO somebody. Veterans know how to move. If you got decent footwork, you're okay. Now, Rivera isn't the greatest with the footwork, but I do believe he'll have enough tools to escape if he gets in trouble. And I don't see him really standing in the pocket too much if Frank hits him with something good and it stings him. Maybe not buzz, but if he feels that burn or, you pop him in the nose and, the eyes water a little bit or whatever the case may be, he's going to be very reluctant to stand in there and trade, which isn't his strong suit anyway. He's going to try to fight from range and catch Frank coming in, and you might see Rivera dig into his counterpuncher bag, which we haven't seen a whole lot of. Even though he's not front foot heavy, he's kind of a balanced boxer puncher, whereas Frank is definitely a little bit more aggressive even when he's the shorter man. So I can see him using those tools to his advantage, using the head movement, weaving his way in, and then just doing some damage to the body, straight jab to the gut, and then go upstairs with a nice little hook or something like that. So there's some interesting dynamics going to be at play in that fight. I'm still picking Frank by unanimous decision. He's going to win on all the cards, but then I also think that if there is a knockout or knockdown, I can see a flash knockdown from Rivera, and that's just catching Frank being super aggressive. He does tend to leap in at times, and he could get caught flush, and that could be night night for Frank in that particular regard. So I don't know. We'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. Feel free to chime in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream down now. Thank you all for your time. If you're watching this on the replay, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share it with friends. I really appreciate it. Anything you do on the channel is definitely appreciated. If you want to see us grow, get better artwork behind me, get better technology for better streams, better marketing, feel free to drop something in the Cash App. It is $ THAMICCHECK1T. That's the mic check on Cash App. Don't forget to hit the mail back. It's the mic check at gmail.com. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate your time. Until the next time, it's T Word. Peace.